Welcome to Think Big for Africa podcast. On this podcast, we will bring you interesting conversations with local, national, and international African leaders from all walks of life, home and abroad. Leaders who are doing their bits to progress Africa's development. Conversation topics will range from education, science, health, leadership, politics, business, and many other global issues. Conversations about everything that concerns Africa's development. Africa has so many wonderful achievers worldwide, and this is exactly what we will bring to you on Think Big for Africa podcast. Stay tuned.
Hello, welcome to the Think Big for Africa podcast. This is Ekene, your host. Today, I have a good friend, a guy I've done some few things with in London. He's an entrepreneur. I won't waste time with him. I will let him tell you all about him. His name is Nzube Ufodike. Nzube, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you, Ekene. And thank you for inviting me to this podcast.
Yeah.
I hope I'm not too casual. It's
no,
an evening.
You're good. Look at me. I'm wearing a t-shirt. You know? Yeah. just like yourself, yeah. I just finished munching some dinner. You know, it's a normal process of life. So it's good.
Indeed.
So
I'll just act like it's me talking. And yes, you're recording for the rest of the world to hear, but
that's it. You know. So tell my audience about you and your work.
Sure. So I'm Nzube Ufodike. I'm an entrepreneur. It's quite hard to define what I do.
I know that. That's why I don't want to do it.
What I do professionally cuts across multiple strands, but you can consider me to be a corporate finance professional. And the meat of what I do is support businesses with their growth. So I look at funding, look at the strategy and other aspects to make them more scalable.
Yeah.
So it's an advisory type engagement most times. Sometimes it's operational. I sit in a few boards and I do invest as well within some companies. Good.
So, Nzube, I think the first time I met you was 2008 in Canary Wharf. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think that's when I met you, when we're invited by our mutual friend, Jibril, to attend the first Professionals for Africa event, right? And then subsequently, you and Sarah and our team did a good job organizing several events all over London. I mean, they were very, very good. Unfortunately, we haven't done anything in a few years, right? I hope somehow we'll come back to it. Anyway, tell my audience a little bit about the PFA, the work you guys did, and the few achievements we made in that era, because it's like an era.
Absolutely, indeed. And wow, that brings back memories, Ekene. Yes, I believe it was back in May of then. The PFA had its inaugural event. Actually, not the inaugural event, which I missed, the one after. So the first sort of...
Okay, so it was the second one I met you, because I was in the first one.
Correct. And there, Jibril, who I believe started it, conceptualized the idea for this forum to bring together individuals and professionals who were interested in doing business in Africa, or were from Africa, or want to connect with topics around the continent of Africa. So it was a really amazing event. I remember that same event, I actually met a lady who turned out to be my cousin, actually, who worked in banking too.
Interesting.
So yeah. And meeting lots of bright, ambitious, finance professionals like we were. But to me, it's really inspiring and awesome, given especially the fact that they were people of color.
Yeah.
I mean, the banks and institutions I'd worked with, mostly white, understandably, vain in London, but socializing within my communities wasn't particularly the professional set. It was more kind of family and very kind of chill folks. But I wanted to, it was exciting to be in a space where I could relax with people who had a similar ambition, drive, wanted to do much more with their professions and so on. I very quickly asked Jibril if I could be part of it and offered to support with growing the network. Actually, we can talk about that when we talk about...
your t-shirt. Yes.
Yes, indeed. For me, I was keen to help with, bringing more people together to create such a space for others to join.
Yeah.
So I became part of the founding team, helped with putting together events. I tend to bring a lot of energy to these sort of things. We, so it was myself, yourself, you were with us for some time, Sarah, Jibril, Cody,
Cody. Oh my God.
Yeah, we all put together.
It's in an essay? I believe so.
In a while, but last I heard he was an SA, married, a couple of kids now. So yeah, it's been a minute. But when we decided to okay, let's structure this, what are we gonna achieve? And we ran several events after we sort of agreed what the scope was.
Yeah.
So for events that touched on, how to go about trying to secure a job or, be headhunted for roles in Africa to, how to raise capital for your business, to sort of policy conversations. We had MP Dan Abbott, one of our events.
And a former president, General Olusegun Obasanjo.
Absolutely.
Unfortunately, I missed that. That was when
that was a really good event.
I saw the pictures. I missed it. Oh man.
I met folks like Kola Kareem, the oil and gas Baron now, and several other people and lots of friends actually that I made for life. I made through the PFA. I was part of that for a good 7 or 8 years.
Yeah.
And this was all voluntary, obviously. None of us were getting paid, but we ran sometimes monthly.
I visited some of the best pubs in London.
Yes, I remember we used but I think it was called the Cape in the city, really popular one, not too far.
We've used several pubs, big pubs in the city. I mean, they're great.
Club 8 was another popular hangout, members only club, and it was really cool. So for me, it just helped me center a lot of conversations around Africa, and through the PFA, we developed several relationships with some of the business schools. So the
Cambridge,
London Business School, and supporting the respective African networks. Being invited to panels, and then when I did my stuff,
that's why I really think it's something good for us to rediscover, and if you or a Sarah are too busy to organize that, you can hand it up to a younger group of people, So
the funny thing is, many a time folks came through and wanted to participate and volunteer and support us with running. I think we weren't structurally set up to fully take advantage of or capitalize on the interest.
Yes.
So,
I mean, we still have the list of people. We have that page.
I'm not allowed to have it anymore. GDPR. That was pre-GDPR.
No, it's in LinkedIn. It's in LinkedIn. We don't hold the.
Oh yeah, we have a LinkedIn group.
Yeah, we have the page. I control the page, So,
oh, really? How many people do you have on the page?
Over 900 people there.
You're kidding?
Yeah.
Whoa, okay.
Yeah. So, see, if you guys we can come together and do this, at least one or two, and then find a younger generation and hand it to them. It's because, I mean, thinking about all the fun we had there and the kind of
and we did have fun.
Yeah, and the relationship we developed there.
And in fact, I ran into someone who used to be an MD of an investment bank, the UK branch of a Nigerian. I ran into him last month, and he remembered some of the nights, and he talked about this night we all went out after, I think, a PFA event, and we went partying. I remember it was lots of fun nights, and he was trying to remind me of a couple of the individuals that we had met as well, and I couldn't remember them, but I recall that there was a wide range of people. I met
people were coming from Manchester.
People come from outside of London as well. Yes, absolutely. But I mean, they had we had people from all over the continent. So my first Burkinabe was at the PFA.
You see,
right? Okay. Burkina Faso, hey, bring it on! Like, it was like, because it tends to be the case as a Nigerian. I mean, both my parents are Nigerian. I was born here, and I have both nationalities, but here is pretty much home for me, for reasons I'll talk about later on. But, as a Nigerian, we tend to assume that most Black people are Nigerian, right? When you go to a place like the PFA, and you're like, you find out someone that looks and kind of sounds or feels Nigerian. Oh, no, they're from Cameroon or Ghana or Togo or
exactly.
Burkina Faso.
We had people from everywhere. I mean, it was fun. It was fun. Yeah. So, see, I will chase you. You and Sarah.
The funny thing, I kind of resigned like maybe 4 years ago because I'm getting really busy with some other stuff. So I, formally stepped down. From the PFA. I had a conversation with everyone that was still involved. I think Sarah was pretty much only left, the last woman standing.
Yeah, after Jibril went back to Nigeria.
Absolutely. So we had a little send-off thing, which is so sweet. So my final night, I remember we were at this pub in the sort of Moorgate area, this downstairs pub.
The pub we've hosted an event there before.
I think we might have, but it might have been our first time there. Okay. That time
we've hosted several events at Moorgate.
I remember we had for my leaving we had a TV station called Yanga TV who was also giving a speech because they were looking to partner with us or collaborate with us in some capacity. So I gave
I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, and I got this lovely card actually. Signed by everyone, hey, really good to have.
I signed it. If you find that card, I signed. Yeah.
Yeah. The card.
Did I sign it?
The place I thought the card was, it's not there. But,
okay.
Don't worry, I'll bring it back.
All right.
That was yes, I think you signed it. Everyone signed. It was really nice. And I got a bottle of champagne as well. So it felt like a nice thank you and a farewell. So I've left officially. So
well, I'm trying to get it back because see, for me, I know I have difficulties being involved in those things now. So I want to get somebody else to do the work, Anyway. See, you have been involved in so many different things, like you mentioned earlier. So I learned from you recently that you are also involved in media, Nollywood, on TV. So tell my audience a little bit about your involvement in media.
Sure. So it actually goes a little further back, where back in 2012 or 13,
Okay.
I started with my colleagues in my company this African Creative Industries Investment Summit. And the idea was to bring together the business champions within the creative industries in Africa. So from the traditional strands, film, music, fashion, art, photography, etc., and get them all together in order to share how to access, as an investor, how to access the, creative economy on the continent. And that put me in touch with so many people across the creative sectors, right? So it was an interesting set of relationships I formed. We ran that investment summit for a couple of years. Fast forward, obviously some of the contacts and the relationships and the sort of appreciation of what the creative industries is. Fast forward to this year, I was part of a TV program. Occasionally I get invited to be interviewed on some television shows. And this particular business show wanted me to share my views on the impact of the pandemic on Black businesses.
Okay.
I gratefully accepted the invitation, and it was actually Yanga TV, by the way.
Okay.
So it was my first time being on a live show at Yanga TV. I've done other TV and other TV channels. I kept in touch with the folks I met that day. So the producer of the show and so on and so forth. And the director of the TV station, remember I'd met her 4 years ago when I was leaving PFA. So for me, it was a case of, okay, great show. Thank you for inviting me. And, happy to continue to keep dialogue open. Then one of the producers was discussing with me after the show, like a couple of weeks later, how he had tried to run a particular format the year before and it didn't take off. And he was asking, my thoughts on it. So I was like, okay, so how did you try to structure it? Because for him at that point, he had tried to run this LGBTQ show, and he said he reached out to 4 or 5 people, and he was only able to secure one person to come to the talk show. And I asked him, so who did he try to invite and so on? And he told me A, B, C, D. And I'm like, I know all these people, they're all my friends. So I've always been like an out gay man, right? So for me, it was a case of, okay, let's try to figure out how we can structure something that, makes sense for the network, makes sense for the community. And the rest is history. So I ended up being part of a talk show.
Okay.
I'm now co-producer and a host of a talk show on Yanga TV that centers and celebrates individuals and professionals that are doing things to champion diversity in their own unique way. So Slay Stories was born, and we finished shooting season 1. We shot that in June. Very hectic month. Camera changes, not just camera changes, but also outfit changes. You probably shoot like 3 episodes in a day sometimes. It's crazy. The day I shot 3 episodes. Actually, one day I did 4 episodes.
Wow.
Crazy. But all of this within Pride Month in June. Now we're in post-production and working toward creating season 2, which should be shot in November, tentatively this year. Also, I had a friend over the summer who was shooting the Nollywood film, and she, an actress, producer, was looking for extras for her film. So she invited me to participate. I was helping out with some of the production logistics here in London. So I took a small role, maybe like a 2-minute role in a feature-length film.
All right.
And I was like the friend in London during the without giving too much away, the knowledge from it.
Yeah.
Someone who leaves London to Nigeria because of someone that they met on the internet and they fall in love with. And she goes back to Nigeria, and there are lots of twists in the plot.
Okay.
So I'm defending London, saying to her, hey, and Nigeria, but make sure you have fun.
Very good, very good. See, my first daughter, she tells me she wants to be an actress, you know. So I told her, hey, you are very lucky. One, our country has maybe by the time you finish acting school, Nigeria will be the biggest producer of films. You know, we already have a big Nollywood society. You know, so and then our cousin is a director and producer in Nollywood. So I told her, hey, you have everything is lying on your feet. So come out from school and you have everything.
So how many years before she graduates?
She's in she just started A levels, you know.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So
the challenge for you is to encourage her to maintain studying until.
Well, it's see, I always tell my daughters they can do whatever they want. I'm not there to tell them what to do, but the only thing is that anything you choose, daddy will push you. Whatever it is, I am here to push you. Okay. So if you tell me you want to do this, okay, I will push you. Right. I'm not here to let you slide, you know. I'm here to push you and make sure you do the best of you can do. You know, that's it. The world today is run by technology. Mm-hmm. And you are, say, a graduate and a master's degree holder of computer science. Of course, I expect you to be involved in the rave of the century, you know. So tell me, what are you doing in the tech area in Africa?
Interesting. Yes. So a little bit of a backstory before I share what I'm doing. So my parents were also very supportive of me and my brothers achieving excellence in anything we did, right? While we're growing up. You know, always asking those questions, like, why didn't you get the extra points and so on? But they also wanted to kind of shape what we did. So I ended up in med school first.
Ooh.
When I left med school, which broke my father's heart, I decided to study computer science because I wasn't entirely sure what I wanted to do in my life. In my head, I only focused on medicine. So it was a case of, let's do something that's related to the future. And for me, I thought, you know, computers would be a lot more ubiquitous than people. If I study a computer science degree, it'll position me well for whatever I want to do in the future, right?
Yeah.
So some of that thinking, this was 21 years ago, sort of helped me with getting into this phase of my professional life.
Yeah.
So when I studied computer science, like I said, I wasn't entirely sure what to make of it.
Yeah.
I knew I liked science fiction. I knew I wanted to set up a big business or something. I like buying and selling. You know, I'm a trader at heart, woman at heart. But it was more around, okay, let's just get a professional degree out of the way.
Yeah.
And I got involved in finance because at the time, the most challenging roles I could find within the technology space was like the roles in banks. And I and give me more options, which it did. So moving from being a developer, a Java software engineer, to becoming more of a corporate finance professional, I had to learn more of the business along the way. and have been involved in supporting businesses for a while. So my initial foray into African technology was actually in Nigeria. I would say back in 2009, 2010, perhaps, I'm tempted to say. Google was having its first series of what I call them incursions on the continent. They were trying to do stuff to encourage, at the time, just encourage more businesses to go online.
Yeah.
So they had full sort of business workshops and stuff like that. And I worked with Google. I ran a couple of seminars. I focused on how to raise money for your business. So I was focusing on trying to get people to understand how financing worked for the companies, how they could potentially access venture capital, structure themselves for funding. And then also advised on how sort of venture capital, which was for many people the holy grail of fundraising, capital worked. So within those workshops, I actually met quite a few people in the Nigerian scene who, are part of the current crop of tech. Probably, in fact, there's now another generation below them, but I met quite a few people then, the Nigerian, Jason and Joku, the guy Sim Shagaya. I was also on a panel with the guy from Paystack. No, not Paystack. I lie. It was one of the first ones. Paga.
Okay.
Tire of industry. Paga. And just meeting all these amazing people. And what I at the time took away from those sessions was there was so much potential. I even blogged about it then. I said, so many people are so bright. They're just as bright as folks that I meet in the tech scene here.
Yeah.
And what I found a lot more interesting, which is a positive, was they were hungrier. So they're much more on the ball when it came to thinking about financial viability and cash flow for their businesses. They weren't just building for, let's just build it, cash will come later. They're focused on how are we going to make money soonest. At the time, the only thing that was a problem, in my view, and things have changed since then, and this was 11, 12 years ago, many people were thinking about building solutions for the West. And I was like, guys, with all due respect, guys and girls, listen, you have so much talent and there's so many opportunities locally. So wherever there's a challenge, flip it on its head as an opportunity. Why not focus on building solutions for here? Because here is where you will make the money and people will buy your solutions. B, let's be real. If you build a solution, even if it's the best solution for a problem I have in the UK or a problem I have in Silicon Valley, would the average Brit or American go for the Nigerian solution or go for the subpar Brit or American solution? Right? Look, people are not going to want to use a Nigerian solution from the US or from the UK as a first priority. It's not going to be, and this is even not about nation, the sort of national waves that we've seen going on, the sort of anti.
For them, it makes sense to buy the solution made in their country,
Absolutely. So this was pre-nationalism. It was more around just the fact that there was a trust issue, there was a distance issue, people having to engage across the pond. They'll take many leaps and bounds to get them to develop that trust and faith in a solution that's A, coming from Africa, B, coming from Nigeria. Fast forward to today, or even way before today, maybe 5 years after I identified that problem, I think more people started building solutions for Nigeria. And if you think about the biggest tech companies in Nigeria are those that are providing solutions for Nigeria. Right? So that was the missing piece of.
We see Nigeria, Africa. I mean, the market, 1.2 to 3 billion people. See, if businesses in Africa focus on providing services and products for the African market, we have enough buyers to sustain huge businesses. You know, I mean, look at just Nollywood, for example. Nollywood is now 25 years, but it has grown mainly from the customers in Africa. Okay, and it's massive. You know, we need to focus more for the African market. And
Absolutely.
look at the music industry in Nigeria. I mean,
yeah. So creating content that solves a local problem gives you a lot more authenticity and gives you more direct feedback.
Yeah.
In terms of iterating and building something that's fit for purpose. Yes, there would be other people you're not building exclusively for, but you're building by centering the core audience.
Yeah.
Other people might, and you know, it can travel. Most things will travel given its technology.
If it's good, it will travel.
Has very few books, right? So yeah, the solutions now, the Nollywood, the movies, the music, the culture, the fashion, the food, we have a lot more now that's been part of this wave of, an African Renaissance, if you like, a cultural Renaissance.
Mm-hmm.
So the work I did, fast forward, over time, I've been advising companies mostly on a one-to-one basis on the continent, mostly with their fundraise, their strategy, and work with them expanding into the UK or setting up in the UK. Things around corporate governance, making introductions, and so on. So yeah, some of the companies are doing really well. Some are growing really rapidly. Yeah, I haven't made any of my own personal investments yet into the companies in the region. My angel investments have been mostly in the UK. Yeah, I'm looking forward to investing in tech companies in Nigeria.
Okay, all right.
And
so let's talk about that T-shirt. This one, the same one I can see on your WhatsApp profile. It says unlock your superpower. So tell me, what are your superpowers?
T-shirt, doesn't it so cool?
Yeah, it's cool. It's cool.
I got it from an event, actually. This was 2 years ago, maybe.
All right.
One of the large tech companies in London had a massive sort of Black History Month series of activities. And when I attended, I was able to get my corporate swag. I got it as a gift. They gave t-shirts to everyone that attended the event. And I loved it because they made you think a little. They had different badges saying, okay, what are your superpowers? And the one I took that resonated with me was networks.
Okay.
And the network. So something I've been really good at is connecting people and building spaces, building communities. So I've been doing that for years. And I do that in my professional life as well as in my personal life. Make joy.
Many people don't understand that that's connecting people is very powerful one, and it makes you valuable to a lot of people. When people understand that, hey, this guy, if you need someone doing this and I need that collaboration, but I don't know how to get one, someone like you have connections. You talk to one person or talk to one person, they will talk to somebody else that will connect you. See, that's a powerful thing to do. And we need that. We need that in business, in community development. We need that very much. So that's something.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think some tips I'll give around, just in case people are interested in being active within networks, I would say think about it as a spider web, right? And each node is as powerful as how many links it's able to connect to each other. So you don't have to be the central person in the network, as long as you're connecting people and there are activities that can take place, some with, some without. If you can protect your interests in those cases, even better. But if not, then let those communications flow.
Yeah.
The network effect and the whole thing about paying it forward, where you add value before you receive value, is also pretty important. So one has to think about, all right, if there's a particular opportunity that comes your way and you can't take advantage of it, who else in your network can benefit from it? Think about that on. If someone's looking for stuff, then you just think, okay, who else can provide that? And you just try to pay things forward before you try to receive from within the network.
Yeah. See,
and I think,
Go on.
The last thing I'll say, I think it's important to also, as much as possible, just maintain a degree of authenticity within those networks, or just not just being yourself, but just maintain a standard, because people talk and networks are not so siloed. If you have a bad reputation on network, people hear about you in other networks. So when people are doing due diligence, they'll find out all the things they need to. So try to maintain a standard, so that when people talk about you when you're not in the room, it's 90% positive.
Very good, very good. See, I got knowledge of networks and doing this, digging a well before you're thirsty. This book by Harvey Mackay. I got this book for the first time in 1996. See, I got the book from a friend of my father's, and I read it. There's one part when he asked, he talked about if he's in jail, he's put in jail in a foreign country. Okay. The question is, if you're put in jail unjustly in a foreign country, do you have somebody? You just call the person and you are sure your interests will be protected. They will get you out of jail. That's what the kind of network that Harvey Mackay expects.
That must be a powerful network to get out of jail.
And he has that network.
Not even in your own, but foreign country. That one there, that's levels. Those are levels.
Exactly. See, in business, in this era, building a network that's powerful will do you a lot of good. Now, you are able to connect people. I do the same thing. In fact, when I wasn't able to do anything, that's all I did. Connect people to people. And somehow it has paid off, because people who know that you are willing to help them do collaborations, even if you are not getting anything out of it, when you need them, they are all there, and it's a very interesting thing, Yeah. So,
book I'm reading, I haven't read that book you referred to, Digging a Well That You Need to Drink.
Digging your well before you're thirsty. So
There's
the point is this: don't call somebody just when you need them. Maintain a relationship so that when you call them, they won't say, "Oh, he's calling me because he needs something." Maintain the relationship so that when you call them, it's like a normal conversation, and then you say, "Hey, can you do this for me?" They'll do it. They'll do it without thinking about it. But when you call them only when you need them, that's not digging your well before you're testing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There's a book I would also recommend to your audience. It's called Persuasion. I believe it's the second book. But
I have. Oh, I got it. But I haven't read it. It. I got it sometime this year, but I haven't read it. Yeah.
Robert Aldini, right?
Yeah.
Yes. That's a book I've listened to some of the podcasts, and it's actually quite insightful.
Yeah.
Those moments of those windows where you can convert the relationship into an opportunity.
Yeah.
It sounds like a rebellion, but I think one has to be practical about certain relationships. So I've just started listening to the book, and I'm thinking, wow, this is pure gold right here.
Yeah.
That's the one. That's the book.
Yeah.
So that's what I'll recommend to your audience.
Yeah.
There's also Bloomberg, if they listen to that, very Masters in Business.
Yeah, I've read some of his books, and they're powerful, very, very powerful. Yeah. And I recommend these books. Yeah. What's it called now? His first book that I read, Influence. Oh my God. Influence was powerful. Well, it's too long for me to tell them all about it. But if anybody who reads, that's a good book to read. Or
listen on a podcast, if you're like me. I find it hard to read. I have lots of books I want to read, but I end up just listening to podcasts.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I listen to podcasts. I take a stroll. I take a 2 to 3 mile stroll every day. Okay. And all I do on that stroll is listen to books. So on that, see, if I turn my camera around, you see my library. Every book in the library, okay, not every, but most of the non-fiction books on the library, I have them on audio because I don't actually read books nowadays. I listen to the audio. Okay, so I buy a book, I buy the audio. That's what I do. So yeah. So on my works this year, I've consumed over 20 books, 20 big books.
Right. I mean, so why do you buy the book and the audio if you're going to just listen to the audio?
Well, see, now it goes back to, I want to, because of my injury, I have difficulty reading, okay? So for the last 10 years, I have not finished any book, okay? I mean, reading, but I've listened to more than 150 books.
Okay, that makes sense. Just listen and buy the audiobooks. Why buy the hard
copy? I haven't bought all of them, but in recent years, I buy the books because I want to see. I'm trying to encourage my daughters to read. Okay,
gotcha.
So I have the library to show them, even though daddy can't read, daddy has read or listened to all these books.
That makes sense. The signal, the visual signaling was what I was trying to.
Yeah.
I was trying to But to your daughters, it makes sense, so they can see.
I'm trying to show them. See, yes, daddy can read, but daddy has read all this. So amazing. I'm telling them, you don't have an excuse, because when I was your age, I read a lot. So today, even though I can't read, I'm still reading.
Gotcha.
So that's the reason why I buy the books. Yeah.
So my grandfather, and he had a very impressive library. My dad, we didn't have a huge library at home. We had the encyclopedia, the Encyclopedia Britannica.
My dad, if you go to my dad's house, there are books everywhere. I mean, everywhere.
That's my grandfather.
In his room, books everywhere. In the sitting room, he has 3-4 shelves of books everywhere. That's how I grew up, reading. See, I was never. See, I would say this, I say it to my daughters. I was never a good student in terms of having the best grades. Okay, but I've always been one of the sharpest people in my class because I read a lot. Yeah. So there's hardly any subject that I don't know something about. Okay. Gotcha. And my father is a philosopher and historian. Okay. So that's the, in fact, if I show you this,
that's a lot more applicable and like broad and wide ranging.
Exactly.
Being a philosopher.
See, as a child, I learned how to ask questions. So today I ask more questions than actually telling people anything. As a coach, I use that. You ask me a question, all I will do is ask you 10 questions. And at the end, gotcha. you know the answer to your question.
Inspiring.
Yeah. So,
yeah.
See, I told you that I want to discuss COVID.
Yes.
COVID.
The key word. Yes.
COVID-19. See, why I want to talk about COVID is that it has become more a political discussion than anything. Instead of for everybody to take it as a virus and treat it as a virus, it has become everything that we don't need in essence. See, last 2 weeks ago, I went to do a blood test, and my doctor called me back that I need to go back and do the blood test. That's because my white blood cells are lower than expected. Okay, so I need to go back and do the test again to see if it's it was just a blip or something they need to look at. Now that tells me one thing: I can't take the COVID on serious. I need to be serious with it, because if I go about my way without thinking about it, I may be actually putting myself in danger, because at this moment, my blood cells, my white blood cells may not be adequate to fight a virus, even though I'm double vaccinated and all that. See, yesterday, in one of my forums with friends, we debated the vaccine. See, I won't even say it's a debate, because it's just unnecessary arguments, and what pains me is that I see this kind of argument everywhere. And everybody wants to speak as an authority, and it pains me. I don't know why we can't admit the limits of our knowledge. That hurts. See, what you don't know, you don't know. And me, what I don't know, I don't know it. And I listen to the people who have dedicated their lives to study that thing. See, but today, just because if information is out there, everybody thinks they can pick it up, read it, and they know. If it was that easy, then we don't need any doctor.
So what's the question exactly on COVID?
Well, I'm just ranting.
Sorry, I'll let you continue.
I'm just ranting, and I wanted to jump in and see, maybe you have a different opinion, but just tell me,
I don't know if I have a different opinion. I think my views on COVID have evolved, right?
Okay.
I remember, we call it COVID-19. It's very soon going to be 22, right? Because it's going away, right? And with the new variants, it might get even worse, depending on how things play out next few months. So, beginning February period, when it was becoming clear that the disease that was first identified in Wuhan was likely to become a global pandemic. I was one of those people, pretty much. I think Boris Johnson articulated some of my views. I felt this was more or less a little bit more severe than a common cold. Okay. The mortality rate at the time was between sort of 2 and 5%. And in my view, between 2 to 5% mortality wasn't a high enough incidence to warrant extreme measures. I compared it to other viruses and diseases like Ebola that would have, I forget now, is it about 40?
That's scary.
Mortality. So there are other more, like one touch, some diseases you catch and the possibility of survival is really low. So I felt 95 to 98% survival rate means we don't need to worry.
Yeah.
The thing I hadn't factored into that equation at the point was its communicability. Okay. So that it was highly efficient at spreading and transmitting amongst human populations meant that more people could get it than, say, Ebola spread. Ebola would spread and people would die and to be within a cluster. Yeah. But a disease that even if it had only 2 to 5% mortality, if it spread to everybody, then that's a higher percentage of the population.
The number will be higher. Yeah.
The overall, the aggregate death would be higher. The exit death would be higher because it's infected more people. So those were numbers that I hadn't quite fully factored in. So I was a bit cynical about and felt the reaction to was a bit exaggerated. But as the data became clearer, so this was February 2020. Yeah. By March, so this first week in March, I thought, okay, you know what? Especially as more information started coming out from Iran. I have a good friend who was telling me about some of the data points from Iran, and I was like, I need to respect myself. I'm not in this man. I do everything. Nothing can touch me. Let me just calm down. So I started canceling my engagements in March before lockdown. There was one particular engagement that it was going to have, and I was thinking I should still go ahead. But in the end, everything got canceled. So by the second week in March, I was already putting myself, in some form. Yeah, before, and this was before the government made the announcements.
Yeah.
1st or 27th, around then.
It was on my birthday, March 23rd. Yeah.
23rd of March. There you go. At that point, I was battened down and working from home. And as more data came out, and it was quite interesting because there was a lot of misinformation in our community saying how, oh, well, this is a genetically manufactured disease. It only kills Asian people and white people. And I'm like, I'm not entirely. And then obviously I love what, so initially I was saying, no, I don't think that's right. I mean, what's clear, or what was becoming clear, was that there was a health, those that were healthier were being impacted less, because, you know, when the basketballers got the disease and they were like fine, and then for asymptomatic individuals, and then Tom Hanks got it, and then it became like, okay, this can spread anyway, and then Idris Elba caught it, and I was like, okay, and he came, and I thought, okay, thank God for Idris Elba, because his announcement would make people think more seriously about their belief it doesn't affect Black people.
Yeah.
It doesn't affect Black people to, oh, it's a government conspiracy. There's so many, but the thing is, put it into context, from the 5G to the microchips in vaccines to Bill Gates, the other stupidness that people are spreading about. The thing is, there has always been misinformation and disinformation for several reasons. I prefer to listen to the science. I prefer to follow the facts. So, I mean, it's clear to me, obviously, COVID does exist. There are very few people now that will contest that, although there are still some people saying it doesn't exist.
See, if you see the African Forum, the forum that I belong to on Facebook, these young people tell me COVID is not real. COVID.
But they're still saying that.
Oh my God.
Okay,
see,
I thought we moved past that.
How many times I've been abused today?
But the thing is, I don't. It's not my job to educate everyone, right? So I live my truth. Hopefully, there's enough evidence out there for people to live their truth. If, in spite of the evidence, people do what would harm them, then, you know, that's on them, right? So the disease exists. The vaccination reduces the chances of one dying. The unfortunate, sad news I'll share with you now, and I don't mean to shock you or your audience, but something that's been slightly underreported right now is the fact that being double vaccinated is not as foolproof against...
No. It has always been that way.
Against the Delta variant. So being double vaccinated for the normal, it gives you 95 or whatever percentage protection. But I think some of the numbers around the Delta variant, I saw some numbers saying around 50 or 60%, but I don't know if that's if it's probably worse than that, because I'm now hearing of people who are double vaxxed that have come down with Delta and have been, you know, bedridden for a few.
Well, I know in the US, a couple of thousand of people have died, even though they were vaccinated.
Double vax.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So see, it doesn't mean you are foolproof, but it means you have a better chance.
You have a higher. Exactly. And the thing is, what I say is, at the end of the day, I'd rather be double vaxxed than not, because if you're double vaxxed, then you know, okay, the one that can come for you is Delta, right? So you got Alpha, Beta, and you got some protection. You could knock most of them out of the park. But it's the Delta and the future ones that might still come for you. And being double vaxxed will give you some degree, not obviously full, but some degree. So if nothing else, it'll give you at least some starting point. You're not starting from scratch. So when the third booster shot comes through, I'm gonna get it. I got my.
I'm waiting. I want to get it as soon as possible.
Because the thing is, COVID's gonna be around for a while, you know, and not just COVID in itself, which is terrible. There'll be many more zoonotic diseases.
I mean, last weekend, I went to get my annual flu shot. So when it comes to vaccines, hey, I'm all for it. Now I studied biochemistry, so
exactly.
I understand. I understand all this
immunology.
See, at least I have an idea. Now, I'm not a virologist, but I understand how these things work.
Everyone's a virologist now. All that, everyone talking like they know about epidemiology.
I understand all those things because I studied it, but yet I'm not an expert. So I listen to the experts, people who have dedicated all their lives to know about these things.
Because at the end of the day, we can't be experts in everything, right? So know what you know well, and then go to those that know what they know well, and then rely on that information. That's just life, right?
Exactly.
If you're not going to do that, then that's on you.
That's what pains me about our people, right? See, to develop, we need experts in various areas of life. And we need the people who are not experts in that space to allow the experts to do the job. See, today, because of that discrediting experts, for me, I look at things further down the road. Today, we're discrediting scientists for COVID. Who else are we going to discredit tomorrow?
So who's discrediting scientists? When you say we,
many young Africans.
I'm not sure they are significant. Maybe a vocal minority.
Well, see, the kind of people, the kind of crowd you move with may not be the kind of crowd I move with. Okay, I move with the public, and I discuss, I debate with them, and I hear the things they say, and that bothers me. Okay, because we need all these young people.
Where do they get their information from?
That's the point. That's the point. They are not scientists. They don't understand this
like QAnon and chat rooms in the dark web or Facebook.
They listen to all these videos that go around through WhatsApp. I mean, I get all these videos, and I get them.
Who do you think is behind disseminating the misinformation? Would it be individuals? Would it be state actors that are trying to?
Well, they're different. They're different.
Educate the population.
They're different kind of people. But I don't know who they are. But the information they are spreading is not going to be good for us. Not just because of the content of the particular information, is the mentality that comes with it. The mentality of not trusting experts. That's what bothers me. So when COVID is over, that mentality will move to something else. Maybe it will not go to
We will have. I'm not suggesting there'll be another pandemic right after this one.
Well, another pandemic is going to come. Don't bother. It's going to come. It's normal.
Yeah. So just from how much we've collapsed space and time, our generation, our fathers and our grandfathers' generation, the degree of travel, the degree of interaction between spaces and places, all that, would lead to greater potential for spread of disease. Plus, we occupy more of the earth and encroach on places where wildlife typically used to inhabit, but we warm up the planet and unfreeze bacteria and viruses or other microorganisms that are asleep for centuries. All these things will lead to more potential pathogen, which, you know, this is good practice because with COVID-19 is not as deadly as, you know, it's not as bad as it could be, right?
See, that's why I'm happy. I'm happy Africa has not been impacted like the West.
Oh, have been and we will be. Don't get it wrong.
No. My point is this. We have not been impacted like the West. And yet we are what's the word now? We are discrediting the people who are working hard to make sure everybody is safe. Now,
when you say we haven't been impacted by the the West, I challenge that because I know people that tell me that they know people that have died.
Oh, I know people who have died in Nigeria. At least I know 5 people.
And on top of that, the next thing is what's less reported. There is an overflow in most of the morgues and mortuaries. So if you ask anyone that's going through a funeral process and they had to deal with a mortuary, they will tell you about that problem.
Okay.
So those excess deaths prove that the numbers that are being reported by the Center for Disease Control in Nigeria, unfortunately, is not representative of the real numbers.
The real numbers. Okay.
Check out in Nigeria, how many tests do you think they do a day?
I don't know.
So in the UK, we have a certain number. I don't know. Is it up to a million tests a day? I can't remember how many tests we do.
It reached that number some time ago. About I've not been following with the data anymore.
Nigeria is a fraction of that, and our population is 3 times the population of the UK, 3.5 times the population of the UK. Yet we do less than 1% the number of tests that it does for its population. So it's like, seriously, we can't expect that we are actually recording properly in Nigeria who is dying. I think it's already a wave of deaths that's been underreported in a country like Nigeria, for instance. And who knows what wave Nigeria actually is in. It might be in a second, it might be in a third wave. We might have our own epsilon variant, but we don't even know because no one is testing or sequencing.
See, all those things you're saying are true, okay? And that's why I wish our people take things more seriously. Because if another virus comes, maybe some years or some decades to come, and we use the mindset we have now to treat that, and as assuming it's more deadly, many people will die.
Yeah, that'll be sad.
Well, it will be sad. Anyway, let's leave COVID. Let's see if you talk about COVID.
COVID is not leaving us, but we can leave COVID for now. I'm double vaxxed and masked, and I'm happy.
Yeah,
my hand sanitizers.
Exactly. See, me, I have been. I've worked with so many charities in the last 10 years. First, as a client, I needed them to help me with so many things. And then subsequently, I worked with them, I volunteered with them to help others, It's at this time that I got to understand how the system in this country works, okay? the government, the public sector, the private sector, and then civil society. I mean, civil society is powerful, very powerful, you know. So as much as possible, I want to encourage young Africans to contribute some of their energy working with charities, NGOs, you know, in their locality. So tell me, I don't know if you work with any NGOs or charities or whatever. Do you do that?
Yes, I do.
Very good.
With quite a few. So and I commend the work you did with the charities. It's definitely worth spending time in the. Okay, so I'll just check in the data, right? So Nigeria is less than 15,000 tests a day. UK is over 1 million tests a day. But anyway, to the third sector. So with the third sector, we have obviously in any civic or developed society, you know, that level of a safety net that should exist for citizens that don't have any other place to, you know, to protection. And in the UK, there's a very developed third sector.
Yeah.
Charitable sector. I think in Nigeria, there's a lot of charity. It's not as structured or formalized in that sense, through foreign aid, but the local generosity is not industrialized. People would just end up being the wealthy individual that takes care of their brother's children, sends their nephews and nieces to university, pays for the local community hall development, so many other things. But here, I'd say, you know, with the very specialized charities that exist, you know, it's always there's always an opportunity to engage in something that's connected to you.
Yeah.
So I connect with the Africa Center. It's a 60-year-old charity here in the UK that focuses on culture, and they do a lot of things around highlighting and celebrating African culture.
Okay.
They've been doing decades now. More recently, actually, I don't know when this podcast will go live, but for Black History Month, we have quite a few things we're doing. We're working with Sotheby's, so around centering African art.
Okay.
We're working with an investment bank. And with the investment bank, we're running an experience in hospitality program. We partner with Baxter Story, which is an independent global, a global independent catering provider.
Okay.
And they have banks, academic institutions, and several others as clients.
Okay.
And they with us on creating this program to give underrepresented people in the food and beverage industry an opportunity to experience a week in hospitality. So we're running 4 different week-long immersive sessions to help those in the food and beverage industry to take up their game. And the Africa Center has done so many other things in the past and still plan to do a lot more. We're raising money for a capital project as we're renovating our building. And I sit on a couple of committees. I'm a trustee at the Africa Center. I've been a trustee for a couple of years. Before then, I volunteered for about 7 years at the Africa Center. I co-lead the Income Generation Committee, and also I sit in the Finance Committee. And it's just things to help maintain financial sustainability within the charity. We just recruited 5 new trustees to join our.
Okay.
I'm really excited about what the next 12 months would be for the Africa Center.
Wow. I would like to know more about that. Yeah, it sounds interesting. And I would like to get to know more, Yeah.
Sure. Do check out the Africa Center's website. So the UK, not the American one.
Yeah.
AfricaCenter.org.
Okay.
Is so we have Let me just make sure I have that right URL for you. I'm going to pull out the URL for you shortly.
Okay.
But the what else do I get involved in? There are a couple of, so the British Computer Society is also a registered charity. It's a chartered institute for IT. So it's africacenter.org.uk. That's
Okay.
the Africa Center, spelled the English way with a TRE, Africa Center. British Computer Society, we represent IT professionals as a trade body. We are under Royal Charter, and we do a lot of things to make IT good for society. As you know, AI that's taking over machine learning, if you have a non-representative, you can end up embedding institutional bias into code. So, to make IT good for everyone in society. And I chair a special interest group that's looking at race and ethnicity within the IT industry. I'm also part of the Institute of Directors, which is also a sort of third sector organization. It represents directors at policy level and tries to represent the interests of small to medium-sized business owners within government. Within that, I chair the Young Executives, where I'm trying to improve board diversity on listed companies and also within private equity portfolio companies and venture capital portfolio companies. I also do some work with a community interest group called UK Blackouts. They are a organization focused on queer Black men and helping us in ways that extend beyond our sexual health needs, which is what outreach for queer men tends to be more around sexual health, but there's a lot more like mental health, there's the financial well-being, there's social well-being, accommodation, and other social issues that we tend to be towards the bottom of the ladder when it comes to prioritization for our needs, even though we end up being overrepresented when it comes to issues of homelessness, mental health, addiction, and other issues. I do some work with them, co-lead as Wealth Creation Collective, focusing on financial wellness and financial well-being. And I do some stuff with other communities, just trying to just create spaces that, people can just feel comfortable and included and thrive, right? So that's what I do. Why I do this is more for just feeling like you're part of society, right? I don't get paid any of these organizations, but just like when we did the PFA, even though we didn't register the PFA as a charity, at one point we were thinking of
we're thinking about it.
The company. Yeah. These things are what make you feel you're adding to,
to your community. Yes.
To developing a community, developing a society. So I enjoy these things as part of my day-to-day. I just need to balance how much I do that's non-paid work, but how much I do that's paid, so that I can actually keep.
It's important. It's important. That's why I've developed. I ask these questions of most of my clients, because as we develop Africa, we need to build the civil society, because we don't want to just build the private sector, business sector, and the government. The work of organizations in the civil society space are very, very important. And I'm trying to encourage young people to start thinking about all those things as we build our countries. Yeah.
Arguably, civic society is the core pillar. Without a functioning civic society, what would need? What would the infrastructure be built around? You need to have a core, society that's before you can build the infrastructure of the government around it. So if people don't have any respect for people, or they don't have any respect for property, then you're building houses on quicksand, right?
Yeah.
Because laws you put in place people just violate them, or people not abide by, the principles of what you're trying to do within that society. So yeah, I think my vision, if I can jump to what I suspect the next question in terms of engaging society, I think over the next 20, 30 years, my vision for Africa would be a more engaged civic society, a more prominent civic society that respects human rights across the board.
Yeah.
And not just when it affects you and your people. Stars movement that took place last year, October last year.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Police brutality has been ongoing for decades in Nigeria. And the question.
Sorry. I need to say something here. Sorry.
Go on.
See, the reason I am in this country is because of that.
Because of police brutality.
Running from police harassment in Nigeria. See, from the time I was 16 that I started driving when I went to university, from that time till the time a few months before I came to the UK, I have been arrested and taken to the police station at least maybe 30 times.
Wow.
Okay. That's because they stop me on the road. They want me to give them something. I say no. And then I end up going to the police station. It started at the age of 16.
Yeah. So individuals like you that they'll see, okay, you have a car, maybe you look really young and fresh-faced, they'll try and just shake it down.
Yeah.
They should have been called out, right? But people think, oh, you're a young boy, let's not protect him. Queer people in Nigeria have had that issue. So people that might be feet or might be whatever, representing us or present in a certain way, have been harassed historically by police systematically. And people just, whatever, they're gay, they're lesbian, we don't care. And then it's now when the masses, I think it's when more prominent leaders' children, or was it a politician's child that got shot? Or I can't remember what the genesis was that led to some of the uprisings. Or maybe, anyway, the point is, it's something that's happened for a while. And it's something that really Nigerians as a whole, not just the youth or not just those affected by it, Nigerians as a whole should be united around, what is acceptable, what human can live with and accept as fellow treatment for, man. That's not yet happening. My vision in Nigeria is we get to that level of evolution where we start to respect fellow citizens a bit more, not because of their wealth or the family name or the part of the country they're from, ethnic or, language groupings, but just because they're fellow human being. You just give them a big level of human dignity. They're a human being, I'm a human being, I'm no better than them. I don't have more of a right to exist on this planet than they do. Let's just respect each other, accept that fact, and move on. People are different. So yeah, that's my vision for Africa.
Wow. Nzube, thank you very, very much. Guys, today we have actually gone overboard. Normally I like to limit this conversation to an hour 15 maximum. But today, hey, that means no way. That means we're enjoying our conversation. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much for being here.
Having me.
Guys, take care. Bye.
Bye.
Listen or watch more episodes of Think Big for Africa podcast with new guests every week. Subscribe to ensure that you are notified whenever new episodes are available.